Now, the French President Emmanuel Macron has given a defiant television address a day after his Prime Minister lost a historic no-confidence vote. Macron said he would appoint a new premier within days and vowed to serve out the rest of his own term. He blamed the far right and the far left for toppling the minority government.
President Emmanuel Macron's France has no prime minister. It has no government, no budget for 2025, which starts in less than a month. Macron told the French people, don't blame him.
I will never assume the irresponsibility of others, and in particular of the parliamentarians who consciously chose to bring down the budget and the government of France a few days before Christmas.
Many on the streets of Paris and 200 other French cities and towns begged to differ. Civil servants laid into the former government's 2025 budget plan, meant to rein in a growing deficit with spending cuts and tax increases.
Everyone needs to take responsibility.
He's the main person responsible for what's happening to us, so I'm very happy about what's happening to him. He has to realise that he's not the only boss in France. We're all managing France together.
There are deficits and inflation that the government itself provoked. Now we are asking civil servants and the people generally to soak up the debt, and that's just not possible.
Demonstrators expect President Macron to nominate another right-leaning government, but are keeping up their push for more investment in the public sector. They know that this woman, Marine Le Pen of the far-right National Rally Party, probably has more say than anyone in the next budget. She was unimpressed with centrist President Macron's last choice to lead his government, the right-leaning Michel Barnier.
We have to look at what people do and not just look at their label. By saying he's right-wing, so everything he does is good? Well, no, everything he does has not been good.
Macron says Le Pen's National Rally lawmakers voted against even their own platform in the budget debates.
By doing so, they chose chaos, and that's the only project they share with the radical left. This with the support of the rest of the left-wing alliance, not to do, but to undo, to wreak havoc.
French media have reported Macron's next prime minister will likely come from a short list of centrist candidates who might appeal to both sides of the political spectrum. He'll reveal his choice in coming days.
And DW's Christine Mundwer joins us now from Brussels with an EU perspective on this crisis in France. Christine, Macron, the French president, says he will name a new prime minister in the coming days. Who would the EU, the European Union, like to see as the new government leader in France, and why?
Well, Anya, the interest in Brussels would be not necessarily who is the next prime minister, but what the next prime minister does as it pertains to the outstanding budget. France is currently spending more than it brings in. It is currently in breach of the EU's rules. Its budget deficit is at about 6%, and EU rules would like to see that at about 3% and no more. So it's really crucial from an EU perspective to see that France is back on that sort of corrective fiscal path. And we saw in Michel Barnier's budget an attempt to do that. Brussels was quite happy with the fact that in the budget that he had proposed, he was going to reduce that deficit by a percentage point, taking it to 5%. So going in the right direction, closer to the desired 3% level and below. So that is really where the interest is on the part of the Commission here, to see Europe's second biggest economy get back into line in terms of budgetary expectations.
But now, of course, there's uncertainty. We don't know who the next Prime Minister is going to be. How unsettling is all of this crisis in France for the European Union and the timing of it?
So there's no direct implication on the part of the European Union, in the sense that there are no decisions to be made that perhaps will now be put on hold at an EU level because of the political instability in France, so to say. But unsettling is the right word that you use there, Anya, because this does coincide, the crisis in France, it does coincide with Germany's governing coalition coming to a premature end. And now you have this scenario where Europe's two big beasts both have significant political woes at home, both have weak economies. There's also this common denominator of this far-right influence and how it is creeping into policy issues. at a time where Europe is generally in decline, where that leadership is needed. And this Franco-German tandem has been the bloc's mainstay of providing that leadership. And going into 2025, where there will be a new administration in the White House, where the war is raging in Ukraine, that influence that France and Germany have been providing for the bloc might be a little bit absent. So while it won't bring things to a halt necessarily, there is a sense that things will slow down a little bit because these two countries are having these significant political problems back at home.
Christine, thank you so much for that update. That's DW's Christine Mundwa reporting from Brussels.